Dogman, outside my window. Dear Scary Stories NYC, I would like to say that you are quite accurate when you say that the Dogman moves in when human beings move out. Half the families in our region of Wisconsin have had their businesses impacted badly by the politicians in this country. The population in my neighborhood has dropped in half, and the tone of the place has changed drastically. Instead of kids walking down the road on their way to school, we have wild packs of dogs, former pets mostly by the look of them. Pets people couldn't afford to keep any longer. And one time, I swear, I even looked out of my front window in a rainstorm, and I saw the glowing, mysterious eyes of the Dogman himself looking right back in at me. That Dogman looked like the devil himself. For all I know, that was old Lucifer in one of his many disguises. I'll tell you everything I can remember about that incident because I know you're interested in the Dogman, and I'll give you my opinions about that day as well. I'm very curious if you have any information you can give back to me about this, as I am far from an expert on the subject, and I would like to learn as much as I can of this creature. I did learn one thing from your channel and others. The Dogman does not like to have his picture taken. For this reason, I have invested in 3 trail cameras, each of which I have pointed at an area that I would personally be terrified to see that creature show up in. They seem to either coincidentally or deliberately do the scariest things they can think of to do, so it's possible they live off of fear in one sense or another. Some people I've talked to think that the Dogmen are literally energy demons who feed off our fear, but others think they just use fear as a hunting tactic. If your prey is so afraid of you that they give up or become frozen, that saves you a lot of work, doesn't it? I really honestly do think the Dogman knows it's scary, and I think it literally lives its life trying to be as intimidating as possible. This is why it seems so supernatural to us. It wants to project that image. Not consciously, I mean instinctively. I feel that a means of survival built into the Dogman is the ability to make smaller creatures around it absolutely terrified. I think that's how it hunts, how it subsists, and how it remains hidden. I also think that it will avoid an area with trail cameras in it, and I hope my home is now protected from the beasts. On the other hand, I may be kidding myself, and the cameras may be no more effective than a superstitious medallion. I'll be honest, I would be quite happy to actually get a photo of the creature, but the main reason I put the cameras up was because I hope to never see another Dogman again if I live to be 200 years of age. I doubt I'll live anywhere close to that long though, because seeing that Dogman must have scared a decade off my lifespan at least. So here's what happened. It's really not a very long story to tell. It was rainy. A rainy summer day just this past August. The light outside was just insane. All these oranges and grays mixed together. The sun was trying to have itself a colorful sunset, and these clouds were trying to rain at the same time. So you just saw every color of the rainbow at once out there. I was busy cooking myself a dinner, but every few minutes when I could, I'd walk to the front of the house and take a peek outside to catch a little more of that astounding sunset/rainstorm. Then, one time, I pulled the curtain back and gasped as I saw the biggest, wettest man I'd ever seen, just a-walking down the street, heading away from me. I had grown accustomed to my block being completely empty, with so many people having moved out in the past 2 years or so, that I think I would have gasped even if it were a nice old lady out there. But this was not a nice old lady, or a nice old anything. The figure stood taller than any man I'd ever seen, and seemed as muscular as a young Arnold Schwarzenegger. I also thought at first that he was wearing a skin diving suit, so you can imagine what a bizarre sight I thought I was seeing. Although the man had been walking away from me when I gasped, he stopped suddenly. I didn't think he could possibly be reacting to my gasp, since it had been so quiet. Besides, I was inside, and he was out, in the loud, pouring rain. But then that big figure turned and looked directly at me, and this time I let out a bit more than a gasp, as I was quite stunned by what I saw. The head, or face, on this creature was not the face of a human being. I was not looking at a huge man in a wetsuit. I was looking at an immense humanoid covered in dark, wet fur, with water streaming off of him continually. His face protruded forward more than upward, and its long snout was filled with teeth so large that he could barely keep them inside his mouth. It was like an upright walking mammalian alligator. That's what it felt like I was staring at through that intense rainstorm. When lightning crashed down, flickering a fully illuminated vision of that beast-man into my brain, I quite literally froze with fear. When standing in the rain, lit by flashing lightning, there is no figure more terrifying than the Dogman. Its eyes light up as though it were a demon from hell. Its ears poke up into the sky like Beelzebub's horn on top of its evil head, and you feel a sense of loathing from that creature that I personally never felt before. This beast didn't even know me, but I could feel that it hated me. I don't mean it disliked me. I mean, I knew it abhorred me. It detested me. It wished harm on me. I could tell all this from that one glance, and so I did a sort of a funny thing. I just put the window curtain back into place, and I returned to the kitchen to stir my in-progress dinner. Maybe if I acted like nothing had just happened, the Dogman, because, let's face it, that's what this was, would keep on walking down that road, and it really would be like nothing had ever happened. But something had happened. I had given away my presence. The Dogman knew I was there, and worse yet, he knew I was scared of him. And I already gave you my theory on that, or most of it. Fear is a big thing to the Dogman. It's tangible to him. Like a spider has this inborn ability to know exactly how to cast a perfect-looking web every time, the Dogman has within himself the ability to make those around him terribly afraid. I do believe he does it either through some kind of psychic means, or perhaps through hormones or pheromones, but he also just looks scary. His very appearance and existence can freeze you in place, even if your window is shut and there's no way you're smelling or perceiving his hormones at all. I think he was built and designed by nature or God or Satan or aliens or the government or whomever, specifically to make the world a more frightening place. He's worse than the TV news in that sense. He exists to make us fearful, and he subsists, in one way or another, off that existential need and ability to be the most frightening thing on Earth. Like I mentioned earlier, there are those who think these creatures literally live off of fear, that they derive nourishment from us that way. This all may have a simpler explanation, though. They may just use the fear to freeze their prey. In either case, I really do believe strongly that fear is used consciously and deliberately as a survival mechanism for this species. I think they know how scary they are, just as a model knows how good looking he or she is. In both cases, this quality is used as a survival mechanism. The main reason I feel all these things was because of what happened next to me. I had returned to the kitchen. I was finishing making my dinner, right? And then, from outside the kitchen window, I saw the ears and the top of the head of that Dogman rising up. He was ducked down under that window, and it looked like he was about to pop up and do a jump scare on me. Well, trust me, he didn't need to. Just knowing he was out there was as scary as the loudest and most unexpected jump scare. I had the presence of mind to turn the oven burners off, and I turned around and I left that kitchen. I walked upstairs and I just went to bed without my dinner. My stomach growled all night, but nothing was going to get me to go back downstairs until the sun was brightly lighting the scene up the next morning. I went out and bought outdoor lighting for my yard that day. From then on, walking through my yard at night is like walking through Dodgers Stadium during a World Series game. It's so brightly lit, you might get a sunburn out there. A few weeks later, someone told me dogmen hate trail cams, so that's why I got some of those too. So far, I haven't seen the creatures back on my land again, but I don't think they've left the area. Too many of the homes around here are for sale and are unoccupied now. I'm pretty sure the creatures are probably breeding all around me, in every direction. I'm not going to tell you where this is happening other than Wisconsin in general, because I need to get this property sold so I can move to Florida with the rest of my friends. That seems to be the place to retire to, and at my age, retirement sure sounds attractive. They tell me they have little lizards in Florida that run around all over the walls like cockroaches, and that sounds creepy. It'll take some time for me to get used to that, but it sounds like a pretty good trade-off to me. After all, I'd rather see some lizards outside sometimes than have to live through ever again laying eyes upon. Dogman, outside my window. Our executive producer is S.A. Kallstrom, keeps the beat like a disco hailstorm. No matter what you've got to say, our executive producer is S.A. Please join us in thanking S.A. Kallstrom for joining our channel members and making this episode possible. In exchange, we share lots of cool perks with them, including our over 24 hours of secret, uncensored Dogman stories far too wild to ever run on this channel. We just dropped our 4.5 hour long Volume 5. It features stories that YouTube would never allow us to tell here, and it's all set up for you to binge. All channel members at $3 a month and up can watch it whenever they'd like, and here's international TV spokesmongrel Henry Lee Dogman to fill in the deets about how you too can gain access. Hank? Thanks for watching till the end. If you liked what you saw, please consider clicking like on the video or sharing it with your friends and family that you think might also be interested. If you would like to see more of our work, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon next to the subscribe button so that YouTube will alert you when we put out a new video. To become a channel member and gain access to our special perks, you can click that join link under each of our videos. Another option is to join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. You can join for as little as 99 cents on YouTube or $1.50 at peterbernard.com. And that gains you access to our weekly secret uncensored episodes. If you'd like to see our 21 hours of archives of uncensored Dogman stories, then please join at the $3 level or above. To get to watch our shows in advance of the public, please join at our $10 level. That gets you all the perks. If you join our channel memberships, you need to check our community page here on YouTube in order to get the links to the secret videos and other perks. If you're in the PayPal subscribers club, Peter will email you all the news and links himself. Once joining the PayPal club, which is Peter's homemade club, please give him a chance to see that you've joined and to compose you a personal welcome email as none of that is automated. But whichever you join, we'll name you an executive producer for the next available episode. Do you have a scary experience that you'd like to share with us? You can email us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or call our Scary Stories voicemail hotline at 804-LA-SCARY. That's 804-537-2279. It's a Google voicemail box, so that means it keeps cutting off after every 3 minutes. If your story is longer than that, please keep calling back and we can piece it together on our end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.